morning, my friends, and happy Friday morning. I am really excited. We are talking about one of my favorite topics ever, and that is Roman glass. I love projects with Roman glass. I love working with it. I love just looking at it. And of course, I love talking about it. So let me show you what we are making today. And of course, we will be talking about the beautiful Roman glass. This whole hour will tell stories about Roman glass. I don't know. I hope you guys have some stories as well. So clearly, we are making a bracelet, and I called it Roman ruins. So Roman ruins, of course, are well known around the world. Everybody travels for many, many miles to see them. And this bracelet, of course, since it's made with Roman glass, it is kind of made with Roman ruins. So let's talk about the glass first. So the glass is actually very, very old. It's from the time when the Romans went around the world and just pretty much conquered everybody they could. And so, of course, the Romans went as far as the Middle East and so many countries in Europe, and they were very, very fond of glass. But in the meantime, why don't we say good morning?
Angela says good morning.
Good morning, Angela.
Fonda says good morning, everyone. Happy Friday.
Hi, Fonda. Good morning and happy Friday.
Carmen says hi, Irina and Tony.
Hello, Carmen.
And Betty says good morning.
Hi, Betty. Good morning, ladies.
Kim C says good morning, Irina, Tony, and Lauren. A great way to start the day.
Oh, yay. Good morning, Kim.
Karen says good morning, all. Rainy and gray here today in Maryland. Looks like they're under a flood warning. Not a beautiful start for the day.
Oh,
Hopefully
no.
it gets better.
Oh, yes. Yes, I hope you do not get flooded. Good luck.
Carol says good morning to all.
Good morning, Carol.
Trudy says good morning, all.
Hi, Trudy. Good morning.
Connie says good morning, Irina, Tony, Lauren, and everyone.
Hi, Connie.
And Barb says good morning, all. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Barb.
Sandy says good morning. Yes, love Roman glass, but no stories from me.
Well, it's okay. I will share stories.
Dominique says good morning.
Good morning, Dominique.
And Sue says good morning.
And good morning, Sue.
Lonnie says good morning from overcast San Juan Capistrano.
Good morning, Lonnie.
Katie S says happy Friday, all.
Hi, Katie, and happy Friday. All right, ladies. So I have like 3 little groupings here. So a little bit more about my little, or actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to save the stories for once they get started. And then as we're making the bracelet, we are going to chat about the history of Roman glass. But in the meantime, so I have 3 little groupings in front of me today. And this is just to show you the diversity of the glass. The glass is really amazing. It is, each individual piece is going to be different. And of course, it has to do with the history of the glass, which I will come back to a little later. But in the meantime, just notice how different each piece is. And sometimes, you know, once these pieces have been buried for thousands of years, they come out and they're just a little bit more matte, like this lovely piece. It's mostly matte. There's not a lot of opalescence. But then sometimes they come out and there's this layer of opalescence. And so what I want you to know is that each one of the sets will have at least 1 or 2 pieces that are opalescent and maybe at least 1 piece that is just matte, like this one. So color-wise, they will also vary a little bit, and they're all gorgeous. I have picked them out myself. I matched them up myself. And the way I match them is so that, to me, all the shapes are really cohesive together. So in my mind, when I pick them out, I have a kind of a vision of what is going to be in the center, and that's usually the largest piece, but of course you can make it however you make it. So I think I'm going to get started, and then we'll just share some stories.
Laura says, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Laura. All right, so in order to make this bracelet, I have in front of me, well, I have quite a few different things, but I will start with the seal-on. And this is standard size seal-on that I'm using. So I'm just grabbing a few of these little Roman glass spacers. Actually, this is one too many. I'm going to put one back. And this next step is actually going to be a little bit optional. So when I made the original piece, the sample right here, I actually did not make the self needles, but about halfway through, I thought, I probably should have done that to just kind of make it a little bit easy for myself. So again, if you don't feel like it, you don't have to, but I am going to show you how to make a self needle. So this is just a piece of paper I have right here. I'm going to use it to remove the excess glue. And in the meantime, I'm using some super new glue to put on the seal-on, and I'm probably going to put it on like maybe 1.5 inches at the end of my seal-on, and I'm going to do that on both ends.
Patty T says, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Patty, and happy Friday.
Lonnie says, lost you for a minute. What cord and length are you using?
Thank you, Lonnie, and I'm so glad that you found me again. Yay! So I'm using seal-on, and right now, seal-on. This is standard size seal-on. It is, I believe, 0.5 millimeter in diameter, and I just applied a little bit of the super new glue. And you saw what I did. I removed the excess glue with my piece of paper. So as I removed, I actually kind of held on to it for a little bit. Okay, so in terms of the length, I know you asked about the length. I actually forgot, but I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess about 16 or 18 inches. I don't remember what we put in the kit, but it's a really ample length. We usually make it so that it's comfortable to work with.
Kim C says, fond memories of my travels to Rome. For 5 years, I took my history students on adventures around the globe, and Rome was one of our faves.
Oh, how beautiful. Well, if you ever go again, take me with you. I would love to go back to Rome. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful city. And this is a long time ago, you guys, but on the way to the United States, we stayed in a smaller town called Ostia, and there were some Roman ruins nearby. Just a very beautiful place, and right on the ocean. So again, I'm doing the same thing on the other side of my seal-on. And there we go. So as I draw the seal-on through my piece of paper here, I kind of straighten it, right? Because you want it as straight as you can. Also, you want to remove as much glue as you can, because some of the holes we're going to go through in our beads are not very large, so we certainly do not want to add bulk to our seal-on. And you can see the first side that I did is already dry, so it dries really, really quickly. I love super new glue because of how non-viscous it is, and it also dries very, very quickly. So part of making the self needle is I'm just going to cut my seal-on at an angle like this, giving this a really nice little point. So that's going to be helpful as we make our piece.
Linda says late, but here now. Morning all.
Hi, Linda. Good morning. I'm glad you're joining us. You're not all that late. We're just getting started. And I will do the same on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to start by tying my seal-on onto one of these decorative rings. And I will go through the ring twice so that it kind of coils around the side of the ring. So there we go. And I'm going to attempt to have pretty much the same length, or, you know, pretty close. If you can get pretty close, that's good enough. Oh, too long on one side. All right, so let's see. Okay.
Dawn says good morning. Thank you for helping me stall cleaning the house.
Oh, yay, Dawn. I love that. That's wonderful. My pleasure. This is so much more fun, right? Okay, so, well, this is close enough, I would say. So now I'm just going to tie a knot.
Katie says me too.
Yay! Well, I'm glad to help, ladies. So this is just a very, very simple overhand knot. And I am going to cover it right away with my crimp cover. So let's find a crimp cover. And this is what a crimp cover looks like when it is open. So it just looks like a round bead that has not yet been made round. It also looks like a little Pac-Man.
Rita says good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rita. I'm glad you're joining us this morning. So I just picked up my, well, actually, let's pick it up again. So you kind of want to sneak up on your crimp cover like this. Okay, it's not working. It's actually easier to sneak up on it while it's on a flat surface. So something like that. And if you can have your flat nose pliers, something like this, on the sides of the opening, that would be ideal. So now I'm just going to put the opening right over my knot.
Lindsay says late. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Lynn. You're not all that late. We actually just got started. So as you can see, I just pushed the two sides together and almost closed my crimp cover. But now I'm going to close that seam and make it a little bit more rounded. And I will do that by putting the jaw of my flat nose pliers right next to the opening and just giving it a nice little squeeze. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side, and that should work.
Kim C says jewelry making and traveling trips. How fun would that be? Do tours like that exist?
I believe they exist. They are, I know they have some cruises, but I don't think they have land tours that are about jewelry making, but that would be very fun. All right, guys, so this is what we just did. We closed the crimp cover, and now we can start adding our beads on. This is obviously the fun part. And okay, so I have almost everything I need, except I need to decide exactly which set I'm going to use today. They're all beautiful, and as I said, I actually do spend a lot of time picking out the sets that go together. And so they all should have a little variation. I don't know, I'm looking at all three sets. Which one do you guys like? Which one should we do today? How about maybe this one? I mean, they're all handpicked by me, so I love them all. They're all my babies. And this is what the sample looks like. All right, so I keep looking at this one at the end because maybe I like the lighter and darker colors, so maybe I'll just go with that. And
Mary Elizabeth says, good morning all. Made to the show's live. Happy dance.
oh, yay, I love the happy dance. Okay, guys, so we are going to string one of these little Roman glass rondelles on first. And these two are made out of the beautiful Roman glass. And these are not opalescent, but they're more like very matte and very, very light greenish color. And I think they just create a beautiful contrast to our other Roman glass beads or slices, whatever we want to call them. Okay, so you can see how easy it was to put on this bead because I made those self needles. Okay, so one other thing I'm going to need, of course, are the Charlotte beads. So the beads you see on top of my sample piece, on top of each one of the Roman glass slices, is a little tiny Charlotte. It's an 11, well, it's actually not that tiny. It's an 11-0 Charlotte. And I just think that it adds this beautiful extra little bit of detail because, of course, Charlottes are simply seed beads with some of the sides cut off. So it brings this extra little subtle sparkle to every one of the components. And so here we go. I have 5 of my seed beads. And if you look at my sample, actually, okay, this one flipped over. So if you look at my sample, they don't have to be the same on each component. So I kind of just go with the flow depending on how the holes in the Roman glass components are positioned. And so let me just show you. I don't know if everybody is familiar with what a Charlotte looks like, but it looks, you know, it looks a lot like a regular seed bead, but can you see that extra little bit of sparkle from the facet? And this is what it looks like on the string. I think you can see it so much better on the string, right?
Is it on both or one? It's hard to see at that angle. You need to.
So it is just on the one side of the string. So here it is. And so, of course, the side with the seed beads on is going to be the top of our bracelet. So now we are going to, this is going to be kind of like a figure 8. So we're going to go through the hole with our seal on like this. So this is, actually, you know what? Okay, let's backtrack. I did this a little prematurely. Maybe I was just a little bit too excited about the Charlottes. Okay, so we actually have to do something first. So we're going to go through the hole. One side of the seal-on, one end of the seal-on rather, goes from top to bottom. The other end of the seal-on goes from the bottom and towards the top. And so we have something like this. Okay, so now would be a much better time to add your seed beads. So let's do that. Again, having made that self needle, it stiffens the thread and it just makes it very easy. And again, I think I'm just going to go with 5 of the seed beads. So now we're going to do the same exact thing where the end with the beads goes through the hole in the component from top to bottom, and then the other end comes from the back toward the front. And you probably already guessed it. This is very easy. I'm just going to add the next Roman glass rondelle. So here we go through the opening with both of the ends of our seal-on. And here we are. So this is going to be how we make the entire bracelet. We are just going to keep adding our beads in the same pattern. So I think this is probably a good time to talk about where this beautiful glass actually comes from. So as I was saying earlier, as the Romans went around the world and just conquered everybody, they also left a lot of their culture with the various people around the world. And they were particularly fond of glass and building glass works everywhere they went. So it's really quite amazing how advanced ancient Romans were as far as the making of glass. And they made different types of glass in many different colors, of course. And more often than not, we see colors like these, like the colors that I'm using today, and the colors that are going to be in all of these kits. Some are a little darker, some are a little lighter, but mostly they are, to me at least, they're the colors of the ocean, of the many moods of the ocean. And you know, once your thread starts getting a little frayed, just recut it again. And it's always best actually to go with the thread, you know, with the spiral of the thread, and it will just stay that way a little longer.
Kathy M says, my first time watching. This will be my Friday morning ritual. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy, and welcome. I love that it's your first time watching. So this is what we do Fridays and Thursdays, and I am hoping that you join us. So what I was saying is that wherever they went, essentially, they would erect glassworks and make such a wonderful variety of various glass items. So they would make vessels and bangles and vases and just whatever you can think of. Whatever you can think of making using glass, they made that. And of course, they were quite the perfectionists. So everything had to be perfect. And if it wasn't perfect, it would go on a discard pile. So, oh, you know what? I got a little carried away with my story and I grabbed the wrong bead. But, okay, I'm just going to switch to this guy. And so we were talking about the discard piles. So that anything that didn't quite work out would go on those discard piles. And as a result, there are these discard piles around the world that were buried in the ground for anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 years. And now they're being excavated. And what it is broken glass. Yes, it is the Romans' trash, but it is our treasure. Because having sat in those discard piles for 2,000 years, in some cases, sometimes it's a little less, that glass has been covered by all sorts of minerals. And this is what happens to glass when it gets covered by minerals. Sometimes it opalizes, sometimes it just becomes matte. Sometimes it gets this really interesting patina of age, like this. Oops. Okay, so something like this. But either way, this is not how this glass started out. This is what happens when glass sits in the ground for thousands of years. So all these beads are getting, or I shouldn't say beads, they're not beads. They are pieces of glass. They're getting excavated. And what does one do with broken glass, right? I mean, some things you can, maybe if it's just a little bit broken, you can repair. But a lot of these pieces are just shards. So all these clever people who have been excavating these lovely shards of glass essentially have started treating them as precious jewels. And these precious pieces are being cut into beads. They're being cut into slices. Some of them are coin shaped, some of them are, oh, and by the way, so my next step is going to be tying both strings to my Ceylon, and I'm going to leave a little bit of space for the crimp cover so that I can tie the knot. So essentially what we did on the first side, we're going to do the very same thing on the second side.
Deb says, hi, Irina. Nice to be here.
Hi, Deb. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're watching. All right, guys. So all over the world, in Europe, in the Middle East, they're finding these wonderful piles of discarded glass. And we have the benefit of it because we get to design wonderful, wonderful things using these gorgeous pieces. And it's one of my favorite things to do. In fact, I have many videos where I have created pieces with this gorgeous glass. I actually have a large library of videos, and a lot of them, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are quite a few of the videos that are about using Roman glass. So let me get back to the technique though. Very simple. So on the first side, right, when we tied the knot initially, if you remember, we went around twice. So we went around that ring 2 times. And that is so that we can match the 2 strings on the other side. So this is the side that I'm working on right now. And because I already have the 2 strings, I just went around 1 time and tied an overhand knot and tied another overhand knot right on top of that. And now I'm going to use a little bit of the super glue glue to put on the knot, but actually I don't put it directly on the knot. Instead, I put it on the string and just kind of encourage the glue to run down the string. And that is because I don't like to overglue the knot itself. And this is what I mean by encouraging the glue. I just kind of guide it a little bit with a piece of paper or a piece of leather or whatever I have at the time. So this is going to take a little bit longer to dry. So I think what I'll do is while this side is drying, I'm just going to be working with the other side and show you exactly what happens next.
Kathy M says, can't wait to check us out.
Oh, yay, Kathy. I hope you do. So this, if you're not familiar with, in the meantime, guys, I'm just putting the cap back on my glue. Okay, so if you're not familiar with us or with my videos, so in my videos, I show various techniques or maybe how to use a specific type of material. And by the way, I'm cutting the leather right now. You get 10 inches of leather in your kit, and I'm just going to cut it in half right now. This is 1.5 millimeter leather. So sometimes I offer kits, sometimes I don't. Generally, the materials that I show in the videos are available in our Etsy shop. And in this case, it's actually both the kit and the other materials can be purchased separately because through the Etsy shop, we actually offer a beautiful variety of Roman glass because, again, I am just so very, very fond of it. So I'm about to tie a lark's head knot with my leather, this is just a simple knot. You just put both ends through the ring, and then they come out through the loop that you have just created. And we will do that on both ends. Now, we're still waiting for our glue to dry, but we can still be working with our piece. So, yeah, so what I was going to say is I love Roman glass so much. So whenever I have a chance to pick up a new shape of Roman glass, I do. And in the Etsy shop, you will see a variety of shapes. You'll see some coins in different sizes that are singly drilled. You will see some tubes and some kind of squarish, roundish pieces that are flat. And some little rondelles. I'm probably forgetting something too. So, so here we go. We have our leather on each end, and I'm still a little hesitant to cut the knot on the extra string off from the knot. So actually, no, it's dry. It's dry. It's ready to go. So I'm just going to do that right now. And we're going to cut it as close as we can. And now we're going to, again, cover the new knot with our crimp cover.
Vicky says, good morning, all.
Good morning, Vicky. I'm glad you're joining us. So, okay, so this is a slightly larger knot. And I'm going to work a little bit harder in trying to squeeze that crimp cover onto it, but it will work. So there we go, almost there.
Kim C says, the natural weathered leather looks fantastic with the Roman glass.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, the natural leather is my favorite. There's so many different finishes in leather, but pretty much for my projects, I only use the natural. You probably have seen a variety of colors. I'm just stuffing that knot into the crimp cover all the way.
Kimberly S says, good morning.
Good morning, Kimberly S. Okay, guys, and now we're going to do the same thing as before, which is squeeze our crimp cover and cover that knot. And
Lucy says, good morning, all. Beautiful bracelet.
thank you so much, Lucy. Okay, So we're just going to close that seam as much as we can. And there we go. So this is what we have just made. We haven't quite finished it just yet, but now we have, where's my sample? It's right here. So now we're just going to work on sizing our bracelet as well as adding the clasp and of course the pinch ends. So let me just show you what it looks like, what the bracelet looks like. This is obviously the back of the bracelet. And as you can see, between the loops on the pinch ends and the clasp itself, we add about 3/4 of an inch. In fact, you know what? I know, I always forget to grab the ruler. So, Tony, do you see actually, I see a ruler. Okay, so bear with me, just going on a little tiny walkabout looking for the ruler.
Barb says, my crimp covers are pretty good, but you always give such good tips to be better.
Oh, yay, thank you so much.
And Dominique says, this was my first live, but definitely not my last. I love this bracelet.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Dominique. In fact, if you guys love Roman glass, next week also I'm doing another bracelet in Roman glass. I tend to do these things in like little series, or should we call them like mini series. And so, you know, I go on like little explorations of a specific material. And so we will have more Roman glass next week, but next week's bracelet is very different from this one. So this is actually closer to a full inch. It's just under a full inch. So that is how much we're going to add when we put the clasp on. So just keep that in mind as you size.
Connie says, gorgeous. Roman glass is fabulous.
Oh, thank you, Connie. I'm so glad you are enjoying it. All right, guys, so we are going to just see how long I want my bracelet. So this is about, I don't know, is this a little too snug? Maybe just a little more. Okay, one of them flipped over. They're a little flippy, but once it's on, it won't flip. So here we go. So this is about the size, and I mean, everybody has their own way of sizing. I'm kind of a winger, so I will just wrap it around my wrist and say, okay, so I want it at about 6.5 inches, maybe just a little over. The thing is, just because you wear a 6.5 inch bracelet, don't take it for granted that it's always going to be a 6.5 inch bracelet, because the chunkier the beads, the longer the bracelet. So it's always a good thing to measure every time for a specific bracelet. Okay, guys, so I think since I want a 6.5 inch bracelet, or maybe 6 3/4 or so, I will measure it for 5 3/4, and then I will have exactly the right size once I add all of my, you know, what are we adding?
Pinch ends and the clasp.
Yes,
and jump
I
rings.
was just, you know, I forgot. Are there jump rings? Yes, there are jump rings.
Karen says, love this. I ordered a kit.
Oh, fantastic, Karen. Yay. I hope you love it. Again, each kit is going to be unique and different, and I made sure that they're all absolutely gorgeous. Okay, guys, so let me just line it up so that it is at 5 3/4. Okay, this is good. I'm just eyeing the leather. Yeah, it's about the same. And now I will cut the leather. Actually, you know what? Don't cut it just yet. Let's, instead of cutting it, let's mark it. If you have a Sharpie, that would be ideal. I didn't grab a Sharpie. You know, I'm just going to ask Tony to grab me a Sharpie. I think it's worth waiting for, because for this one, we want to be a little bit precise.
Karen says, thank you, Irina, Tony, and Lauren. Another exceptional design. She has to head out. Have a great weekend.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you. And you have a wonderful day. You can always rewatch the end later. And those of you who can stay, please do stay for the exciting conclusion. I know that some of you have seen me do the leather ants or the pinch ants like a million times. But if you have never seen it, it's definitely worth seeing it because with the pinch ants, this is what a pinch ant looks like. With the pinch ants, we can do it in such a good, clean way. I just love these little pinch ants. So, and yes, sometimes, when I work on my own, I don't necessarily mark the ends with the Sharpie, but I think if you're just doing this for the first time ever, it's definitely worth it. So, Tony just brought me a Sharpie, and as soon as he sits down, I will continue. All right, guys. So again, let me just, I'm just going to grab some of my, everything that is going into this. So we have 2 pinch ends, we have 2 jump rings, and these are little jump rings. They're maybe about 3 millimeters in diameter. And then of course I have a little snap clasp. And here we go. We're going to continue. So, I'm just going to use a thin Sharpie, and again, I'm lining up my bracelet because it moved a little bit. So we'll just line it up nicely. And this is, let's see, we were doing 5 3/4, I think. So here it is at 5 3/4. Okay, Tony, you didn't get me a very good Sharpie. So I will try a different Sharpie. Good thing he brought me 2 Sharpies. Yay. It's good to have a backup Sharpie, right? So here we go. Oh, so much better. So much better.
Cheryl says, I'm late to the party, but I'll be rewatching when my kid arrives.
Yay, Cheryl. Well, you know what? I'm so glad you mentioned that. Okay, so Tony told me we just sold out. It's okay. We can add a few. So go ahead and add because we already started the new batch. So we'll add 6 more. But I'm so glad you mentioned the kits. So especially for the new people, I'm going to say this. When you get a kit, these kits that you get through the video, or not through the video, but you get the kits from Etsy, but oh my gosh, you guys, I just lost my little piece of wire that I had right here. This is a crazy day, I think. I am losing everything, I'm forgetting everything. I just had a little teeny piece of wire. Okay, so we're going to look for it, and hopefully we'll find it. So while Tony is looking for the piece of wire on the floor, I'm just going to tell you guys, when you get these kits, there will always be a link to the video where you originally saw the technique. So when you get this kit, there will be a link to this video. So it's not like you have to keep track, but make sure that when you do get your kit, you don't just discard that little insert that is in the kit. Okay, so Tony is not finding a piece of wire, so I am just going to let him hold the phone, and I'll go get an extra little piece of wire while he chats with you. Maybe he can tell you a little more about the Roman glass.
So Cheryl says you need a centering ruler would help with measuring. I've actually never heard of those.
You know what? That's a brilliant idea.
Irina says that's a good idea. That would be fascinating to try out. And Carol says it's the full moon. That's why the wire has disappeared. Lorraine says good morning. Hi, Irina and Tony. Hello, Lorraine. Thank you for joining us. Irina will be right back. And Fonda ordered her kit as well.
Yay!
Lorraine says good morning.
Good morning, Lorraine. Okay, guys, I'm back
And
with
I
a
did
new
read
piece
this
of
already.
wire.
I did read this already, but Carol says it's a full moon.
It is, right? I mean, like
I was looking at that last night. I'm like, oh, cool. It's going to be a full moon tomorrow.
well, it's beautiful when it's a full moon, right? But oh my gosh, I swear I did have a little piece of wire and I dropped it. Okay, we're going to really keep track of this piece of wire. So you guys watch this one and make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, no sleight of hand.
So no sleight of hand, no. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Especially for anyone who has never seen one of these little findings. These are just brilliant. So I'm going to open it up. And this one is Greek key design. We actually have these in different designs. There's another one that's a tulip design that is also really lovely. This one looks like that. And obviously I just opened it up, which I will do with the second one as well. And there is a reason for opening it up. And you'll see that in a moment. But also, it's a good thing that we're opening it up so that you can see those little teeny, do you see those little prongs on the inside? Those little prongs are actually going to help you hold on to the wire. So I will take my wire, which thank goodness this one did not go anywhere. We are going to wrap this right here, right at our mark, and wrap it as tightly as you possibly can. So just really, you see how I'm bundling those two ends of the leather together, like really, really tight. Super, super tight. And just like 2 or 3 times is all you need to do. And now we are actually going to trim one end of the wire a little bit and twist these 2 little ends. Once you've twisted them by hand, it's actually a lot easier to tighten them with your flat nose pliers. Because this is a little tiny twist, but make sure you don't over twist it because it's just very easy to over twist it and break the wire. Okay, so I have my little teeny tiny twist. I'm going to cut the wire at the end of the twist. You see the little tiny twist? It's like maybe 2 millimeters, no more than that.
Barb says, I never used to wrap the ends, but I do now. Use a speck of glue too.
Yes, yes. If you do both, it's like you will never lose your bracelet. So now obviously I trimmed the leather just past the little wrap. And now I'm simply just kind of putting that twist so that it's in line with the leather. And now we will do the same thing on the other side. And here is my wire. And again, we're going to wrap really, really snug. So as tight as you can. And just a couple of times or 3 times, whatever. And I started it by hand. And also, if you're concerned about over twisting, do as much as you possibly can by hand because it's a lot harder to break your wire if you are just twisting by hand. Okay, guys, so now we'll just align our little twisty with the leather ends. And can you see I'm also kind of giving it a squeeze like this. I'm kind of mushing both ends of the leather together. And I will do that on the other side as well. And I'm doing that so that it's very easy to insert our leather into the leather crimp. And that was also the same reason that I opened up the finding so that it's very easy to put our leather in once we have our glue. Because you remember, this is the glue that dries so very quickly. Like you blink twice and it's done. And so we certainly don't want our glue to dry. You know, I think I have too much glue in here. I'm just going to wick a little bit of the glue, because remember, this is the glue that comes out like water. It's just completely non-viscous. So sometimes it comes out faster than you intend. Okay, so here you go. So our goal is to have those little prongs on the other side of the wire. So essentially the prongs are going to hold on to that little wire wrap that you just created. And now I'm using my flat nose pliers to really close all of these little petals on our finding. So there we go. This is one end. And now we'll do the other end. So same way, we're just going to put a little drop, trying for a really little drop. Okay, I did succeed this time. So just a little drop, and immediately we put our finding on our leather and close it right away. And this way it can dry already closed, so we don't have to disturb it as it is drying. Okay, and now all we have left to do is just attach our clasp. And that is very, very simple. So we have these cute little jump rings. They're little, they're only 3 millimeters, and that's because, you know, I like keeping this type of a clasp pretty minimal. You don't really want to draw attention, unless of course you have a decorative clasp and then you do want to draw attention to the clasp. So here we go. We're just going to go through the loop that is attached to our crimp end.
Peggy is wondering what gauge wire you wrap the end with.
Oh, thank you so much for asking, Peggy. It is 28 gauge wire. 28 gauge wire works really well for, oh, wait a minute, I dropped my clasp. That's not good. The whole point of using, wait a minute, where is my clasp? Oh, yeah, here it is. So the whole point of using the jump ring, okay, this is not good. One more try. I'm telling you guys, it is a full moon. So here we go. We are just going to close that jump ring. And one more jump ring for the other side. So yes, the reason I use 28 gauge wire for this type of use is because it's so teeny tiny, and it will not add a whole lot of bulk to the leather end, so that you can very easily use the smallest size of our leather crimp, or leather ends rather. What are they called? Pinch ends. That's it. And that's it. This is what it looks like. We just finished our bracelet.
Carol says I may add a little mermaid charm at the end on one side.
Aw, lovely. That would be great. How appropriate. A mermaid side with mermaid charm, yes, a mermaid charm. I was thinking clasp, but no, okay. Mermaid charm with this type of a bracelet, because clearly it is in mermaid colors, so that would be really perfect. Okay, guys, So this is what it looks like. In fact, let me just clasp it so we can really see what it looks like. And yes, it is a perfect fit because we did measure it. But I like the idea of that zero ruler. I have never heard of that before. So we will definitely have to check into those rulers. So what do you think? This is really fun, isn't it?
Lorraine says, beautiful. I love the Roman glass.
Oh yes, Lorraine, I agree with you. We're all sisters in Roman glass, right? It's just so wonderful. So, as you can see, these two are quite different, and if you look at some of my other groups, they're going to be very different yet, but they're all really cool. So there's not a bad one. And also, if you want to design your own, we have all sorts of wonderful Roman glass in the shop. I kind of, I've been wanting to use this shape of Roman glass for a long time because as I said, I have multiple projects with Roman glass, but usually the round pieces or the rondelles. And this is the first time I'm actually using this shape. And I love using this two-hole shape. It's probably a little bit less intuitive as far as using it in a project, but now we have a project to use it in.
Carol says, lovely. And Patty T says, I love this bracelet. The applications for this design are endless.
Thank you so much. You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up because yes, they are endless. You can essentially take these techniques and just run with them and make them your own. Anything that is drilled like this, and in fact, even anything that isn't drilled like this would still be applicable. And of course, the leather finishing technique is really applicable to anything.
Angela says, I love it. Barb says, it's beautiful, as are all of your projects.
Oh, thank you so much, Barb.
Kim
You're so
C
kind.
says, gorgeous bracelet. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Kim.
Fonda says, beautiful. I've never worked with Roman glass before.
Oh, yay, Fonda. You're going to have such a great time because I tell you, just looking at these pieces and just handling these pieces, you're literally holding in your hand a little piece of history. And then, of course, you will enjoy wearing that piece of history.
Peggy says, so pretty and easy to make.
Yes, you're absolutely right. This is so simple. Anybody can do this, and it is just so satisfying.
Lonnie says, thank you. Now make earrings to match.
Yay! Again, there are different types of glass in the Etsy shop. So if you envision a pair of earrings, in fact, Lonnie, once you've made the earrings, share them with us, please. Oh, you know what? I have a pair of earrings on. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to, this is not Roman glass, but it kind of goes with Roman glass. So this is the earring that I just had on, and this is just for fun. I took it off. This is a looping technique. This is actually right out of my last book. But just for fun, you could even use kyanite. And look at how beautifully kyanite goes with Roman glass. But anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent. But Roman glass earrings would certainly be beautiful.
Tasha says, I feel I can duplicate it, and sends hearts.
Oh, yay, Tasha, you go for it.
Peggy says, kidney bean shaped.
Okay, sounds great.
Lindsay says, beautiful bracelet. And Trudy says, awesome bracelet.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Sandy says, thank you for more creative ideas. And Rita says, beautiful.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Barb says, I just realized this is a good way to use up those little pieces of leather too.
You got it. You know how I always say, don't throw away your little pieces of leather. You will always use them for something. And a project like this is perfect because the leather piece really allows you to size the bracelet. And it's really fun.
Debbie sends hearts.
Yay, thank you so much, Debbie. Hearts right back to you guys. Is this the wrong way? Okay, how about that? Okay, so sending many, many hearts to you guys. And I also wanted to show off my rings from last night's video. So if you missed this one, it is actually on a different Facebook page. It's on the Irina Miech page, which of course is me. Hi, I'm Irina Miech. And those of you especially who are pretty new to my videos, please know that I have two different pages. And it's the one you're watching, which is Eclectica, and of course the Irina Miech, which I do the videos on Thursday. So this is from last night's video, and the two oval rings we are going to list today. So the other three are already listed, and these two are going to be listed today. These also are kits. And
Katie S. had a question about the one with the golden obsidian. Katie, that size range is from 5 to 8. That will, as far as it being adjustable.
oh, yay, because I don't really know exactly what's in the Etsy shop, so Tony is definitely the go-to person for that.
Sylvia says, I'm so late, but replay is my friend.
Oh, yay, for sure it is your friend.
Barb says, the rings last night were great, and I can't wait for next week's videos.
Oh, yay. So next week's videos are, there is Roman holiday. See, there's a little theme here. So there's the Roman holiday bracelet, which is so, so different from this one. But if you want to preview it, just go to the event section and please do let us know if you're coming. Just RSVP. And what else am I doing? Oh, yes, you guys asked me to do some riveting projects. So remember, several people wanted riveting, and riveting we're going to do next week. And again, I love suggestions. So if ever you think I want to explore this or that technique, I do take suggestions, so don't be shy and let me know. It may be a little bit before I get to it, but I always try to get to the suggestions.
Patty T says, thank you for another beautiful tutorial.
Thank you so much, Patty.
Connie says, thank you. Love your inspirational designs.
Thank you so much. And thank you all of you for watching. And of course, thank you for your comments. I love them. And thanks for asking lots of questions. I love that too, because of course that will benefit somebody who will be rewatching the videos later. So that's a good thing. And again, if ever you think of something that you wish that we would do a video on, don't be shy. I take your suggestions very seriously, and very often the best videos come from your suggestions and the best projects. So again, thank you for those. And I believe we're all set for today, right? So thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for all the awesome comments, and have a wonderful and creative week.